Morning, everyone. Yesterday, several people missed out the session due to Zoom issues. I will repeat that one more time, no problem. So, yesterday's session, what we discussed, I am repeating the same, right? Anybody missed out will not be any issue, right? I am repeating yesterday's session, okay? Right. So, what was the concept we are discussing? Detailedly, we will see more today. Already we learned how to handle forms with the traditional React approach. Then we learned about forms using third parties, right? In the third party, we are using a library called Formic. In previous session, we designed only a form, how to design a form using Formic. Now we will see how to handle validation. Formic little bit better when we are dealing with form submitting and all. Already we learned it uses initial values. It uses on submit, right? And it uses handle change. It uses handle blur. Like ready-made options are there. So by using them, we designed a form and we simplified. Now we will see today how Formic will handle Formic validations. Formic validations. How we can make the validations also simple. Previously, validations was very complex in our previous example. In our Formic example, here we designed a form and we used a lot of validations. And for validations, actually what we do is, that is general form. Yeah. For validations, we have to write a lot of events. Means you have to write like this: verify user, verify password, all these events are required. Now, what is advantage of third party? It will reduce the events that you need to write. Here again, several levels are there. I will show you level by level how we can make more simplified. That means depending on users requirement, client requirements, we can use different approaches. We will see all of them. First, we will see how basic validation works using Formic, right? Let's design. First, we have to import. So use Formic from Formic. So we have to import from Formic. So what is the library? That is Formic. From Formic, we have to import this Formic. After that, so we need to create a function. So we are defining export default function, and function is Formic validation. Formic validation. I'm creating a Formic validation. It will return some markup. I will put a simple container, and here we will design a simple form, and I will give as form, and I will give as register user, and some fields I am creating as username, and input type is text, and we have some data term age, and we have input type age. Yeah, the input type is number, or you can just give input type is equal to text, and we have another data term, that is we need to say email. Yeah, another input type is equal to text. I'm just using these options here. Now, this is a simple form with all these details, username, age, email, and let's keep a button, register. Now I need to add validation for these fields. So username, age, email, all this. Then let's see how we can define. Generally, formic validation, actual simple, there are so many levels. So you can configure validation for every element in page. You can configure validation for every element in page by using validation function. Actually, we can use a validation function. That is the point. So we can validate by using a validate function. Formic uses a validate function. Actually, formic uses a validation function. It uses a validation function. That means how we define. So syntactically, so we have a function. This is some validation function. Okay. What this validation function will do is it will get the form details. It will take the form details. After taking the form details, it will create an errors object. It will create an errors object and it will return the errors object. It returns the errors object after verifying the details. That means what we have to do here, we have to write logic for verifying every field. Okay. For verifying every field, you have to write the logic and report the errors. So we need to create a validation function. This validation function should read the values from your form and it should verify the values. If there are any problems in the values, it should report in an errors object. So errors is an object. This error object contains information about all the errors in the form. So form errors we have to define like this. Formic have to use this validation. How it uses? So we have use formic. This use formic will have initial values. It will have initial values and this initial values will be using all the field names and it will have validation. This validation uses the validation function. It uses the validation function. That means whatever values are there in the form, those values are sent for validation by formic into this function. That means whatever values you entered inside a form, those values are collected and those values are sent for validation into this function. That means into this function, those values are sent. It will verify the values. If there is any problem in the value, it will report those values. That means errors contains, formic returns errors. That errors contains information, error information about every field. How to access it? So you can access error message by using, we have to use formic dot errors, the field name. You have to define the field name. Which field name error we have to access and display. This is the approach of how we can handle validations in a form, right? But here again, one level you reduced. What is the level you reduced is you don't need to write every key up, key down, blur, change like events. But validation functions you have to write. That means verify whether value there or not, verify the value is a number or not, verify whether it is an email or not. All such things we have to manage. So what to do now? First step here, we need to create a function. This is verify user details. That is the function. What this verify user details function have to do? It have to take user details. These user details are nothing but we are expecting the user details coming from this form. From the form, we will pass user ID, username, age, email. Now we have to verify them and report. We have to write validation for those fields. Actually, user details is nothing but it is collecting the data from this form. So, and it is have to verify the details. So we have to create a constant errors, and errors is an object. This user details have to return errors. That means this user verify user details is a function which will get the values from the form, and it will verify those details, and it will report the problems in the details and store them in this errors object. How to verify the details? Again, your logic is same. That means you have to write all the conditions. How? Let's see. For that, we are writing here first, if user details, what is the field you are expecting from user details? First one is username. If user details dot username is equal to empty, that means if it is empty, then errors object should use username, where it should display a message saying that username required. This message it should display. That is the first point we are defining. That means now what happens? It will collect the value you entered in the text box. It will send the value into this function. This function will collect your username and it will verify value entered inside it or not. If value is not entered into it, it will put this message in the username errors. That is one. Okay. Now I am writing another, similarly others. If user details dot, another one is age. Age is empty, same. Errors dot age is equal to age required. This required, this message I am giving. Okay. Another condition, if user details dot email is equal to empty, then errors dot email is equal to email required. This is what we have to write. Now error validation function is ready. This function should be used by form to verify the details while entering. So what we have to do, we need to configure here now. So we need to define a formic. It uses use formic. It is an object which will take initial values. Initial values is an object. What are the values you are expecting? Username, what type? String. What is age? Age is number type. So I am using 0. And another one, email I am expecting string. These are initial values. If there is a problem in these values, who will verify? If there is a problem in these values when data is sent into this, who will verify? This validation function should verify. Understood? That means we have to store data into these initial values. Can we directly store? As of now, we can directly store. If there is any restriction for storing data into these values, then you have to tell that by using validate. Validate is asking, is there any validation for storing values? Yes, there is validation. Now you have to tell where is that validation. Where is that validation? Validation is inside which function? Verify user details. We have to use that function here. Verify user details. That means what it will do is this way, this formic is going to send these values, right? It is going to send these values into verified details. So the formic is going to send these values into verified details before submitting. Before submitting, it will send all the values into verified details. What verified details will do? It will verify all these are matching or not. If they are not matching, it will record the errors and it will store that errors and it will return that errors to the formic. It will return the error to the formic. It will return the errors to the formic. So that means, let me explain a simple flow here. See. So actually we have formic. Formic is having, so initial values. Initial values are the values you are expecting to be stored inside the form. But to store values, you need validate. That means we need a validation function. Am I right? This is a validation function. What we have done is we return a function that is validation function. We are writing a validation function. We are writing a validation function here. And actually, whatever values are collected from the form, these values are sent into this function. Understood? Those values are sent into the function. Whatever values are there, they are sent into the function. Here, we are verifying those values. We are verifying those values and storing the problems in errors. We are storing the problems in errors. What it will do is, it will verify those values, and if there are any errors, it will return these errors into this formic. Understood? It will return the errors to that formic. That means formic can access these errors and display what problems are there. Formic can access the errors and display what the problems are. So that means now this validate is passing the values, verifying the values. If there is any problem in those values, then what happens? It will report. And where to display those messages? I want to display here. Then, but as of now, still these text boxes are not binded with formic. For that, already we know what to do. We have to define a name. Name is what? Username. And here also name, this is age. And here we have a name, email. And we need to bind on change. On change is equal to formic dot handle change. So it will verify whether value entered or not. Means it will verify the value inside. Similarly, others. On change. So formic dot handle change. Okay. Same on change, handle change. Fine. Oh, now one more important option. So we have to define on. We need to post the values to some. I'll just put alert JSON dot string 5, whatever the values are there. Later we can post this to any API. Okay, that is fine. Now, where to display the errors? If Formic catches any error in the field, so this function is verifying and catching the errors. Where to display those errors? Below this, I will put a data definition, class name text danger. Here, I want name related error message. So you can access Formic dot errors. Errors have a field. What is it? Username. Username. That means username related error will be displayed here. Same I have to do for others. I will copy here and here I am defining errors dot age. And here I am defining errors dot email. We are displaying like this. Now, when I am trying to submit this now, I am refreshing this and I will click on submit. Then it have to verify the details. Username required, age required, email required. Username is satisfied, age is satisfied, email is satisfied, some email is satisfied, all these details, and we register, it will submit the details. It will get all the details and submit the details. If anything is not satisfied, then it shows the error. And we can get the details and configure here. You can see it will display. Actually, here we have some details to enter. We click register. It is unable to submit. Formic will handle it internally. You don't need to write anything further. We can even disable the button until everything is valid. That we will see in next levels. As of now, this is working fine. That means it is verifying the details and submitting the details. And this time, when compared to the previous, little bit better. Why? Because in our previous example, we have to write on key up, verify user, on key up, verify password, on key up, verify some email. So for every event, we have to write logic. But here already events are wired up. You have to just attach the event. This is first level, but still here some more points are there. I will tell you. Copy this. This is first example. This is example. So simple validation. This is the simple validation example. We can have multiple validations. We can keep multiple validation messages, multiple validations for every field. Every field we can have multiple validation. For example, suppose username is mandatory. Username should be minimum 4 characters. It should be maximum 10 characters. So simple, nothing special. We have to write else if another condition. Another condition. What is this condition? If user details dot, what is it? Username dot length. Am I right? Length is less than 4. If length is less than 4, that means errors dot username. In that we will display name too short. That is the name error message I am giving. I can write else if, again, else if user details dot username dot length length is greater than 10. That means errors dot username. Username here we need to display. So name too long. We can add multiple validations. That means you can define multiple validations. That means username is compulsory. Username should match with minimum 4 characters. Username should match with maximum 10 characters. If it is not matching while typing, it will report all the problems. Let's see now. Here I will refresh. I am clicking on register. It is asking name required. I am entering the name. It says name too short. I am entering. This is fine. It is hidden. If I go more than 10 characters, then it says name too long. That means it can handle the validation. That means I am not adding minimum 4 characters. It is name too short. I am not entering anything at all. Then it says name required. So you are entering the details, it will display. So we can add multiple validations. We have to just write the conditions. Suppose now, yesterday I told you, one more time I am telling, suppose age is required and age must be number. Then we have to use another option. What is it? Else if, am I right? Else if. So is NaN. Is NaN what? So user details dot age. Is NaN user details dot age. That means it's not a number. Then errors dot age is equal to, so age must be a number. So that message we are displaying. We have to use all the JavaScript functions. But here some more issues will be there. I will tell you here. Suppose I said here, so register, this is entered, and age, so it says it must be a number. It must be a number. I am entering a number, then it is okay. If I am not entering a number, it says it must be a number. We have to use JavaScript functions. I already told you, for every purpose we don't have function. We have to write manually certain logics, right? We don't have logic for every purpose. You have to manually write. For example, suppose I ask to enter an even number. How you will verify? Obviously, you have to write a logic. If number is divided by 2, modulus is 0, then it is even. Otherwise, not. Right? There are no ready-made options for that. We have to write the logic for everything. Similarly, for example, email requires @ right? That means I'm entering some David, so outlook.com. It should show that message. We can write multiple conditions. That means here we are writing here, else if user details dot email dot index of @ is an index of @ is less than or equal to 2. Because index of is used to verify. Index of is used to verify whether the character is present or not. If character is not present, it will return -1. But I return 2. Why? Because generally email should not start with @ right? If it is present, but still it is present at 1 position or 2 position, I will say that not a valid email. You can write a lot of conditions. Here I am using errors.email. I will say it is invalid email. Invalid email. We are just defining invalid email. That means now you can see here. So when you are configuring this, now this is register. I'm entering the details. I'm entering the age. and you can see invalid email. So David, it is invalid email. Outlook.com, it is invalid. You need an at the net. Then it is okay. Everything we need to verify. And many times we have to use patterns. You learned already patterns. We have to use many times even patterns to verify. For example, suppose I am adding another field called mobile. It is a string type. And here I am adding another data term mobile, and data definition input type is equal to text. So input type is equal to text, and here I will keep on change is formic dot handle change. Okay. Now here we will bind with the name. The name is mobile. And here what I am doing is displaying the error message. And same error message, let me copy this one. Same error message, that formic dot errors dot mobile. We will use the mobile. And for mobile, here I need to write a pattern. That means in the errors, I am writing again. So if user details dot mobile dot match, you have to use a JavaScript match method. Match with regular expression. So regular expression should be written in double slash plus 91 /d 10 digits number. This is regular expression for validating mobile. That's a general JavaScript validation. So if it is matching with this, then what we do, errors dot mobile. So we will put as simple as invalid mobile. So if it is matching, we will keep as empty. Else we will put errors dot mobile. We will keep as invalid mobile. If mobile is also required, then I will keep here if user details dot mobile is equal to empty, right? And this will use an else if. If it is empty, then errors dot mobile so is equal to, we have to display mobile required. That is the option. This time I am using a regular expression for verifying the value. We can use regular expressions, we can use the general functions, and we can validate. So here it is working fine. So you can see this is mobile required. So username entered, age entered, email entered, and mobile here. So 988765432 So, and here still, so plus 91, it is fine. Otherwise it will display as invalid. The patterns also we are verifying. This is how we can handle multiple validations. Means how we can handle multiple validations for the same field. So this is another example. Let me copy this. This is multiple validations for every field. We are simple writing, but still not satisfied as a developer, because still I have to write a lot of things. Manually, I have to write the functions and verify them. If you look at advanced technologies, they have ready-made services. That means if you look at the Angular-like technology, so they have validation services. What is the advantage of services? You don't need to write much logic to verify. You have to just apply a service, it will verify and it will report the problem. And React don't have that. React internally don't have any such service that it can use for validations without writing much logic. Then React have to depend on more third-party plugins. And people who are very familiar with Formic, they use one more plugin called Yup. Yup is another library. What is advantage of Yup library is it simplifies. So it simplifies the form and its validation. It simplifies the form and its validation. That means Formic can use this additional Yup library for validation. Actually, Yup library provides validation schemas. It provides validation schemas. Actually, other technologies have validation services, but Yup library provides validation schemas. It provides validation schemas. Schema is a structure. That means actually every validation schema is actually structured. Every validation schema defines the type and the range of value Every validation schema defines the type and range of value. That means it is nothing but validation schema is data structure. In simple terms, validation schema is a data structure. Data structure means data structure defines what is the data type and what is the range of the data. That means what type of data we can store, how much we can store. That is data structure. Actually, schema defines the structure of data. What is the size of data and how much you can store in it and what type you can store. That is actually data types. In JavaScript also, we have primitive types, non-primitive types, data types. What is difference between primitive, non-primitive types? Primitive types will have a fixed range and non-primitive types vary according to memory available. For example, suppose in JavaScript, x equal to 10. That means x is a number. If I ask a question like how much number I can store in x, what is the limit of x number? How much? Is there any limit for that number? Yes, we have. We cannot cross that limit. There is limit for number. You cannot cross that limit. You cannot type any number you want. There is a limit for numbers. The minimum range, maximum range. You might not learn about it in JavaScript, but it is there. Actually, suppose you see, I'm showing you here. So document.write. Yeah. Here I am showing you. So minimum, let's say number dot min safe integer. Okay. And maximum is here number dot max safe integer. So this is the range of number in JavaScript actually. That is the range of number in JavaScript. That means you cannot store any number below this or above it. That is why they are primitive types. Primitive types are fixed range. In a Boolean type, what you can store? True or false. Anything else? No. Fixed. Primitive means fixed, right? Primitive means fixed. This is the range of number. This is the range of number you can store, right? That is the point here. What validation schemas can do is, validation schema, they can verify the value type, they can verify the range of the value and they can report the problem. So what is advantage? Explicitly, you don't need, you don't need any function to verify the data type or range. Explicitly, you don't need any function to verify the data type of or range. Yesterday, I told you that how do we know whether that JavaScript, how it handles, how it knows is it a number or not, is NaN. How it knows the data type of any particular value, it will use an operator called type of. How it knows whether the object derived from a specific class or not, it uses instance of. How it knows whether a property present in object or not. Suppose a property is there in object or not, how to verify? How do you verify a property there or not in an object? We have to verify by using in operator. In operator will verify whether the property is available or not. These are all required for validation. So people who are dealing with validation, writing for validation, they need to know about all these things, right? But now advantage of these third-party libraries is, so YEP library provides schemas like you can have Boolean schema. We have Boolean schema. We have like number schema. You have like string schema. Like this, you have so many schemas. Boolean schema, null schema, string schema, undefined schemas. What these schemas can do is they can verify the type and structure. That means when you enter a value, they will verify whether the value is number or string. Currently, without schema, what we done, we used is NaN. We are verifying is NaN. Actually, these schemas will provide functions like, so Boolean. It will provide function like number. It will provide function like a string. These will verify whether it is a Boolean, is it a number, is it a string. Generally, in JavaScript, how to verify whether the value entered is a string or not? We have to verify by using type of, right? We have to do that. If a string is sent, how to convert a string to Boolean? For example, in JavaScript, suppose, so var x equal to true. It is not Boolean, right? It is string. How to convert it into Boolean? Is there any Boolean parsing method in JavaScript? No, we don't have. Parse int, parse float, numbers are there. Then how you will convert into Boolean? Parse int, parse float are for integers, not for converting to Boolean. How you will convert? We have to write like this. Result is equal to, if x equal to true, am I right? We will put true. Otherwise, we will put false. This is converting. There is no conversion method in JavaScript. Then a developer have to put his skills together to brain and put all the skills together to convert it into Boolean. There are no ready-made functions here, right? That is the reason when complex validations will come to handle, you will struck up without JavaScript skills properly. You can't handle, you can't write, you can't think even about how to do it if you are not good in your JavaScript. right? That means there are no methods for every purpose. We have to handle so many things using logic. How to convert a number to string? We have a function to string, right? But others we have to manually do in this way, right? And yep provides ready-made for this. So ready-made schemas, and not only what is the purpose of schema? Provide schemas to verify structure. So to verify type, understand? And not only that, yep library provides provides functions for verifying range and pattern, for verifying range and pattern. Or you can say for verifying range, pattern, and so many other things. Actually, you have ready-made functions like min, like max. We have like max length. We have like min length. So we have like required. So we have like so options like pattern. We have like email. These are all ready-made functions. What is the advantage of these functions and schemas is without writing much logic, you can validate. Currently, what we are doing to validate manually, we have to write the logic. Now, what is advantage of this yep library? Instead of validation function, this yep library, instead of validation function, it introduces validation schema. What is advantage of validation schema? You import these validation schemas, you can simply validate your values without writing much logic. That simplifies validation. That simplifies your form validations. So yep is not mandatory. Without yep also we validated, but by using yep you can make it little better. Let's see how it better. In this again several levels are there, level by level in yep itself. We will see. See now here, I will go into this formic validation, and in order to use yep library, the first thing you have to install yep. So first point you have to install yep library for project through your package manager npm install yep and save, right? After installing yep library for project, actually you have to import all the validation schemas. That means actually you have to import validation schemas in component. In which component you want to use, you have to import. Actually, we have to write import. We have to write Boolean schema. We have to write number schema. So we have to like string like this. You have to import from which location? Yep. From yep library, you have to import all these schemas. From yep library, you have to import all these schemas. So many schemas are there. This is very time consuming process of importing all of them. In JavaScript module system, you know, we can import all schemas with asterisk. We can simply put asterisk, but all these schemas must be stored in one reference after importing. Then we have to use as yep. Like this, we will use from yep. This is importing all libraries. That means all the classes you want to import, then you have to use asterisk. But after importing, how to access? To access them, they must have a reference as yep. That means you can use as yep, you will import all the classes and you can access them. So individually you can define, Individually, you can configure or you can import all of them if you need, right? That is one option. Another important is now how the validations are configured, how the validations are configured. Formic can use yep validation schema by using validation schema property. It have a validation schema property. That means we have constant formic is equal to use formic. In use formic, we have what are the options? We have initial values. Previously, we used validation. This time, validation schema. This time, validation schema. And who provides that validation schema? Yep, library provides that validation schema. So, yep, have an object method. This yep object is going to access all the members of yep. That means schemas and range values, everything it is able to access. So what this yep object will do? It is an object. This object contains field name, and for that field, what are the schemas? You have to bind the schemas. That means you have to say yep dot number. Understood? That means you have to define data type. Okay. Data type. That means now yep is going to get the field name, your field name, and it will fix that field name with this data type. It will fix the field name with this data type. That means this field cannot accept any another data. That means you say number, it will say number. You say string, it will be string. It will not allow any another. And very important here, if you want to define anything else other than data type, then you can add them. That means you can say required, this is a method. You can say it is minimum 4 characters. You can say maximum 10 characters. You can add them. You can configure. That means now validation schema will get your field name and it will apply all this to your field. Earlier, what we were doing, all this we were writing for field. That means if length is greater than 0, right? Length is less than 10. We are writing them. Now you don't need to write them. We have ready-made. We have to just bind them. And use them. And not only that, now binding, this is configuring schema. Now how to bind? This also becomes easy now. Binding means you have to bind the fields with HTML elements, right? Bind the fields with HTML elements. Here we can do like this. Input type is equal to text. Now to bind, we can use a simple / directive. This is triple ... You know the meaning of this. What is it? In JavaScript, one second. In JavaScript, what it is? REST parameter. Huh? What is it? REST parameter, na? Right? REST parameter is nothing but it is able to configure only one parameter that can take multiple arguments. REST parameter, it is defined as REST parameter. REST parameter means a parameter which can take multiple arguments. We will use formic. So, and dot get field properties. Which field? The field name. We have to define the field. That means what it will do is, because every field have a lot of properties. Every field have a lot of properties. It have type, it have min, it have max. We have to read all of them and we have to bind them to this particular text box. That means we need to read all the schema properties and bind to this text box. For that, Formic uses a REST operator. In JavaScript REST operator, one parameter can accept multiple arguments. One parameter can accept multiple arguments. That means through this one reference, you can access all these arguments of that particular field called name. That means for every field, we use a lot of arguments, then it will handle it. Now, what is the specialty of YUP? You will see now more actually here. And generally, how we can display the error messages. That means we have to configure the error message, right? So we need to configure the error message. How to display the error message? Displaying error message is nothing but actually displaying error message is nothing but you have to just give the fault. Actually, Formic, we have an errors object now. This errors object will have a name, right? We can define that, but we haven't written any errors. We haven't written any functions. We are not returning any errors, but it is able to handle because internally it manages all these schemas. This looks little better because earlier you have to write a lot and this time it simplified. Okay, let's see here. So what we do now here, let's go. And here I will remove. First we have to install YUP library. I will do one thing instead disturbing this. I will first install YUP library. Yeah, npm install. So YUP and save. Okay, that is there. Now let's create one component here. Let's make this as YUP validation .js. YUP validation.js. We have a export default function. So YUP validation. Okay. And return. So let's keep a simple form. In this again, so many techniques are also there. We will use that. Okay. And we have heading register and data list, data term, user name. Let's keep one or two others you can try in a similar way, right? Input type is text. Okay. Another data term is email. So input type is equal to text. Okay. Another is age. Input type is equal to text. Okay. And put a button register. Okay. Register user. And this is YUP validation. YUP validation component is ready. Okay. Let's add container fluid. Okay. Fine. Now let's see how the validations are defined for this, how we can handle the validation for this. Now I have to import. So we have to import Formic, use Formic from Formic. And we have to import from YUP library, right? From YUP library, you have to import all asterisk. So as YUP from YUP, we have to configure all the YUP library here. Actually, you have a lot of schemas. You can explore their documents. Already I told you now what is the official source. npm js npm js. Here you can explore this yup library, right? This is the yup library. You can explore their documents. This is object schema validation. Here you see lot of schemas are there. So you have all the schemas: boolean, date, mixed, number, array, object. And if you want to use all of them, and we are doing that, we are using all and importing and using. Here so many options are there, means a lot of functions, how we can configure, define that schema related, lot of things are there. We can even define our custom validation. These are all schema related, all structure related options are there. We have ready-made functions, we can handle them. It can provide everything, help to you. But you just go with the basic example, that is enough. Because if you start reading all this documentation, it will be very complex, right? Not required. In rare occasions, sometimes you have to deal with some rare data validations. There you need to implement some extra. For that, you can explore this. Later, I will show one small concept, how you can explore for some rare requirements if come, right? As of now, just we have to define like this. Now, what we have to do, we have to create a constant formic is use formic, and this formic will use so initial values. What are the initial values? Initial values, we have username. Username, it is empty. We have email, right? Email is also an empty string. We have age. Age is an number. Now, after configuring the initial values, we are defining the validation. Validation schema is there. Validation schema is there. Previously, we used validation. Validation schema uses yup. It uses yup. Yup have an object. This object defines the specification like this. That means it contains the field name. Field name is what? User name. And what it has to use? Yup dot data type. That means we have to define the data type as a string. After that, you can add the validation here. That means you can define, you can concatenate much options. That means it will be minimum how much. That means I am using required. We can keep required. And very important, if required is not satisfied, if required is not satisfied, see, you can break it. For clarity, people usually break it like this. That means same, I'm continuing. For name field, this is data type and this is required. If required is not satisfied, you put a message what you want. That means we can say that username required. Required. And we are adding one more. I am using here another one, that is min. Min is what? Min is suppose for what is the message? Name to short. That is the message. Next what? Max. Max is how much? 10. What is the message? Name to long. This message should come. This is the validation for name field. Validation for name field. You don't need to write a separate function. You have to just mention the predefined values. Right now here I am defining, so email, and we have yup, right? Yup dot data type is string, and this yup is using the validation is required, and we say email required, and here we are defining another one is email. Email have email validation. Message is some invalid email. Here the question is, if I don't give any message, what will happen? By default, it will pop up the message. By default, it will have a message because every schema method is designed with as a promise. Every schema method is a promise. This is important term. You know, promise. Promise means it will return one set of function when condition is satisfied. It will return another set of function if condition is not satisfied. According to the state situation, it can change the function. So by default, schemas have promises. They have their own messages. You can override those messages. They have their own messages to display. We can override those messages. Okay. Now this is for email. And similarly, what we have to do, we have to define age. Age is an what type? Yep. And it is what type? Number type. And what else validations you want? I want required. That is age required. Age required. And age should be a number type. You can define the range, minimum, maximum also. But this number itself will verify whether it is a number or not. The number schema will verify whether it is number or not. This is schema. Now what simplicity you have seen here is, instead of writing the separate functions and writing our own logic for verifying the values, you can use ready-made schemas. And on submit is same. On submit, we have to collect the values and we have to alert and JSON string 5 and all the values. That is fine. Now here, how do we bind? Previously, we are doing a lot of binding techniques. That means we have to define a name. We have to define handle change. We have to define handle blur like options if you want, right? But now here what I can do is simple. I can bind here dot dot dot. We have formic dot. So get field properties. Which field properties? The field name. Field is username. It have to get all the properties for it. That means now it will reduce on change, on blur, not required. We are not even defining name. We are not even configuring a name. Just we defined a type. The same I have to define for this one also. What is a text box? And this is for email. This is for email. And this is for age. Here you have few more things to understand. Now, how do we display the message? Where we display the message? Suppose I want to display the message. Here, how we can configure the message? We have an formic dot. You can see errors. We have an option user name, but we haven't created any errors object. In our previous example, we created an errors object. We stored all errors into that object and we were returning it. But here it is already having that errors. That means here it is already having that errors. Now we need to handle one more option here. What is it? We have to use on submit. What is it? Formic dot handle submit. Handle submit is same. That means we need to handle submit for the form, right? Now this you can see according to the data type, it already binded 0, right? It is already binded with 0 and it is displaying username required. And I am entering username short and username long. All these options are working fine. Of course, I haven't given message. I will give here class name. So text danger. Let's use the same for all of them. For email, I am defining the same. This should display for email. And for age, we are defining here and this is for age. And you can see that this is now is click on register, it says all this, and I am entering. Now it is working fine. Now it is working fine. So email is required and it is invalid email. So invalid email, when I enter proper email, it's okay. And here I entered some text. See, default message. This message we haven't given, right? That means it says that age must be a number type, but the final value was NaN, right? Not a number. This we done manually. So if I don't give a message, it is returning its own message, right? For example, this number have an option. So age must be number, like this I defined. That means I am casting my own message there. Now here, so I entered something, then you see age must be a number. But other messages, we have to compress them. We can keep our own messages and we can override the other messages. I will show you. For that, we have another level. This is also not satisfied. This is also not satisfied by a certain set of developers. Why? Because I feel that this is also too much lengthy. Right? So, but if you are dealing with every validation individually, this is okay. If you are looking for more shorter than this, we have. If you are looking for more shorter than this, we have. That means YEP provides a separate formic validation. It provides a separate formic validation components. By using those components, you don't need to even write this much. That means you can make your form more simple, and simple means very simple. It can have only field and error messages. That means this looks too much complicated, but still we have a solution for this also. But this is also required in various occasions where we have to handle individually every problem. If we want to handle individually every problem, then we have to go with this. Why we cannot use this every time? If it is good, why we cannot use this every time? For example, why we cannot use every time? I will show you why you cannot use every time. You see, this is David. Okay, fine. Email required. I'm using email method for validation. Then I'm entering email. So I'm entering email. So some email at the net, I'm using at the net gm, so gmail, so .com .c, it's working. That means it is expecting some single character which is not valid for me. My requirement is different. Why do I care to use this? Right? If my requirement of email is different, I don't want this. That means we will use our own validation. That is the reason you cannot say that this is best, you can use this one. That means he will decide according to his requirements. That means this is not good validation for me, then I will ignore this. I will use my own function. Right? That is the reason you cannot say this is best out of all. But this looks better when compared to the previous. This is by using YEP. By using YEP validation, how you can configure the validation and define. Right? Now we have more simplified than this. We generally call this as YEP validation components are there. Validation components. By using them, we can keep validation even simplified. That we will see next session. Tomorrow we will do. Okay. Today you need to practice this, right? We have learned so many things. You need to try this. Then tomorrow we will see other techniques of forms. This is only formic library. Like this, we have so many libraries. I will tell you one more library. You can try others, right? Then tomorrow we'll continue.